everybody. This is Deb with Truthfication Chronicles, and I have a little bit of an update on Mike Flynn. Always nice to know what's going on. I did a previous video back in June when he was subpoenaed to go in and testify before the House Intel Committee. Yep, Adam Schiff did that. And Flynn didn't show up when he was supposed to. So, not a surprise, right? But I haven't had a chance to give you an update on it, and I thought here's a couple of articles from the Federalist that give some good insight into what's going on. So, first of all, we have here this article, What's Inside the Latest Documents for Michael Flynn's Court Case? Well, Sidney Powell has put in a 3-page amendment to the motion to compel. Now, I did a video on the motion to compel, if you want to see that. And, so those 2 videos that I just showed you, those will be really good to kind of as a setup for what's going on here in case you're not up to speed at this point. So she sent this amendment here. It's only 3 pages long, and it says, now remember the motion to compel was, let me see if I can find it. Here it is. That is also listed in the show notes here, but it will be in the show notes also of the motion to compel video, because that's where I go through it so you can find out what exactly she was asking for and what was going on there. So anyway, this is the amendment to that, and she says here that he respectfully submits this amendment to his motion to compel production of Brady material. And remember, Brady material is material that the prosecutors are required to give to the defendant and their lawyers because it possibly will exonerate the person. So it's exculpatory evidence that must be provided. I mean, that's what the Brady material is all about. And the Mueller prosecutors were ordered to give this Brady material over to Flynn. Anyway, she says on page 4, paragraph 3 of the motion, Mr. Flynn requests any drafts, electronic communications, those are called ECs, emails and texts related to Nellie Ohr's research on Mr. Flynn and all CIA cables on the topic as well. This kind of indicates that, yeah, Nellie Ohr played a much bigger role than most people know. So it's kind of big there. On page 4, paragraph 4, Mr. Flynn additionally requests with respect to Colonel retired James Baker, the current head of DOD Office of Net Assessment, production of Colonel Baker's calendar showing his meetings with or any other communications with David Ignatius, who is a reporter, from July 1st, 2015 through March 2017. Now, if you notice, these dates that she's giving actually take place before 2016, because I think she understands that all of this started long before 2016. And really, she even goes back at one place to 2014, I think. And that was the year Obama forced Flynn out. And Flynn was, at that time, the head of the Defense Intelligence Agency, the DIA. So, yeah, it really, I think, goes all the way back to that, if not even earlier. So that's very interesting that some of her stuff is from 2015. She's asking about that. And she, like I said, the one place I saw on something else said 2014. So very interesting on that. On page 4, paragraph 8, Mr. Flynn further requests ECs in addition to human sources. So looking to find out more information there. On page 5, paragraph 16, the date of the Russia Today dinner is incorrect. The date of the dinner was December 10th, 2015, rather than December 17th, 2015. So, okay, those are the things. You can compare them because I'll have the link to this other one down below, and you can go through and you can compare exactly what he was asking for. But I think it's interesting that she is continuing to say, we need these different documents, okay? And basically that's all it is. Counsel does not anticipate the government's need for additional time to respond in light of these minor amendments, but does not oppose if needed. So it could take a little while. Our courts just run so slow, folks. They really do. But what I see her trying to do is she wants to get it to the point where the entire case is thrown out because of misconduct on the behalf of the prosecutors. So this is a really good article here. And she had this one-page letter that she sent to, let me see if I can find it, right here, to Schiff. And it says, "Dear Mr. Schiff, in accord with our advice and after considerable reflection, Lieutenant General Michael T. Flynn is invoking his Fifth Amendment right and will not appear before your committee on September 25th, 2019. Now, they had him scheduled to come in on July 10th, and he didn't show. And then I guess he asked for him September 25th. I did not find the letter that he sent. Sometimes, when they do that, they will include a copy on the House Intel site, and I couldn't find it. So I don't know, I don't know exactly what it said or anything, but he evidently asked for him to come and to testify before the committee on September 25th, which obviously he didn't do, because I guarantee if Flynn would have been in there, I would have been covering that all over. So, no, he didn't do it. And I like what she has to say here. She says, not only will he not be appearing, she mentions these reasons: to be paraded, harassed, or disparaged for doing so. And they would too. I mean, watching what they did to Joseph McGuire, oh my goodness, they don't care. They will just attack anybody. They have lost their minds. They're just, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, in the words of the Supreme Court over 60 years ago, the kind of subpoena you have issued is indefensible. And she gave an example there. Even if General Flynn did not have a Fifth Amendment privilege, which is paramount here, much of the testimony you seek would most likely be foreclosed by executive privilege. Because, he was the National Security Advisor, which means he had an awful lot of conversations with Trump that would definitely fall under executive privilege. So it's like, what are you going to do? You're going to ask him. You're going to do the same thing you've been doing and you did to like Corey Lewandowski and all these other people. You're going to ask him and they're going to say, well, I'm not going to talk about any conversations I've had with the president because you're not supposed to. That's just the way it works. So anyway, it says, in any event, as you know, he has completed more than 100 hours of full cooperation with special counsel. In our correspondence of August 22nd, and again, I couldn't find that one, we cited multiple authorities supporting his right to exercise his Fifth Amendment right without appearing, and 2, exposing your disregard for propriety, professionalism, prior practices, and ethics in your theatrical demand. I like this woman. Boy, she's doing a great job. And, she didn't just come into this totally unaware of what was going on. She knows. She knows it all. I am pretty sure she's totally up to speed on everything that happened. And not just from Flynn's point of view. She knows a lot of stuff. So, anyway, that was the letter. Again, I couldn't find the one from the August 22nd, which I really would have loved to have read. And maybe I'll keep looking for it and see if I can find it, because I'm thinking she probably put down some pretty good stuff in that one. But anyway, so there you have the situation. I'm going to leave this down below so you can read the whole article, because it really is a good article. And then this is Sidney Powell's latest motion in Michael Flynn's case is a Russiagate bombshell. This came out on September 12th. And I think this one is pretty interesting too. But she cataloged 40 categories of evidence the government has refused to turn over. She seeks a court order requiring federal prosecutors to provide the withheld evidence under Brady and its progeny. And so I'm going to leave this one down below too, because I think this is a really good one to read as well. Yeah, lots of stuff going on. I mean, she wants the original 302s. Just lots of stuff. And I think she's not going to rest until she gets it. So that's another one I want to show you. But another thing that just happened, and we really haven't heard about this too much because of everything else about the whole whistleblower thing, Ukraine whistleblower. Well, Virginia judge acquits Michael Flynn, business partner, with implications for Flynn's case. Yeah, this was another case without a crime brought by prosecutors who were willing to criminalize innocent behavior in furtherance of their own agenda, says Sidney Powell. So this guy, and his name is, and I'm going to butcher this, so just bear with it, Bijan Rafiekian? So anyway, this guy, it was Flynn's partner, okay? He used to be in Flynn's intel group, FIG, and following a 6-day trial, federal prosecutors convinced a jury to convict Rafiekian of acting as an unregistered agent of Turkey, conspiring to act as an unregistered agent of Turkey, and conspiring to make willful and material false statements and omissions in a Federal Agents Registration Acts filing. That's a FARA filing. But after hearing the same evidence, Judge Trenga concluded that the jury acted unreasonably and entered a judgment of acquittal in Rafiekian's favor. And I liked what it said down here. His opinion confirms Powell's take. While the government sought to portray Rafiekian as an agent of Turkey, the court found no rational juror could find that Rafiekian knowingly acted or caused others to act on behalf of the Turkish government. So the case was this Judge Trenga says, okay, you are going to be acquitted, and if anyone further up in the judicial chain says that, they're going to nullify it, well, then you're going to have to go through a new trial. So even if another court tries to overturn this decision, they're going to have to put him through a new trial. And if Sidney Powell gets all of this exculpatory evidence, and these guys have to get some of that, and there's probably exculpatory evidence that's been held back on this one too, yep, that's going to happen. And once that all starts coming out, these people they're going to be totally acquitted. I mean, I don't think there's any other way it could happen. So, and here's the acquittal, and here's really the conclusion. The judge, you can read the whole thing if you want to. I'll have the link down below, but it's a lot of legal speak, and it's 39 pages of that. But essentially it says, for the above reasons, and that's because he laid them all out, the evidence was insufficient as a matter of law to sustain either of Rafiekian's convictions, and the motion for acquittal is therefore granted. Should the court's judgment of acquittal be later vacated or reversed, a new trial is warranted in the interests of justice, and the motion for new trial is conditionally granted. So, in other words, that's it. So the guy was acquitted, finally, and if any other court wants to try it, if they try to appeal or anything, then they're going to have to do a whole new trial, which is very good. And it also is very, very good for Flynn. So that's what's going on with Flynn. And I want to just make one more comment. If you watch the very last video I did, it's about 3.5 minutes long. And I asked the question, shouldn't these people who are running as primary candidates for the Democrat Party and who are also members of Congress, shouldn't they have to recuse themselves from any mention of Trump, anything that concerns Trump in their committees? Because he's their opposition. So they have a personal political stake in watching him go down. So it's not fair. It's not right for them to be sitting there in judgment of the man who is their opponent. Of course, when they ask questions and everything, they're going to be trying to make Trump look as bad as they can because he's their opponent. So shouldn't that happen? Well, here's an idea of mine. Why don't you contact your members of Congress, even if they're not on any of these committees? Contact your members of Congress and tell them this. Say, hey, shouldn't these people recuse themselves? I want you to put pressure on them to recuse themselves because they have no business doing anything regarding Trump, making any decisions regarding Trump, when they themselves are candidates who will be opposing him. He's their opponent, and that should not be allowed. So, contact them. Contact your representatives, contact your senators. send them emails. And if you just go to the main Senate site and you go to the main House site, you can search for your members of Congress if you don't know who they are. And usually we'll have a link right there to take you to their website. And then there's a contact form there. You just fill out the contact form and you can send it. Okay, so that's what I think we need to do. And if we do it in enough numbers, if we would get hundreds of people to do this, it's going to put a lot of pressure on that particular move. And I think that if they're going to be running for the presidential candidate, then yes, they should have to recuse themselves from any decisions Congress makes having to do with Donald Trump. So that's what I've got for you on this one. I want to thank you for stopping by, and I'll see y'all later.